All right. We're back and we're on.
Yay.
I tell you. I don't know if they laugh or cry. So let's have a good laugh. Let's just get
Exactly what it
just that,
is.
have the sillies out. I don't know. Or the wigglies, the googlies. We just gonna make words up today because
Yeah.
we are trying not to be stopped, but
Everything is trying to stop it.
right. Just so, but I guess this is where you have to be grown and
Mm.
understand life comes with its challenges. So we're going to try to do our very best. The stress is real. We're going to try to do our very best. And then we are going to tabulate the results
Mm-hmm.
and then find out, did we win?
That's it. The simplified version of what
Oh,
we're trying to do.
because simple, apparently, like common sense, is not just what it is. It takes some rehearsals and some trial and error.
Simple takes work.
So, all right. Well, hey guys, we are here. Raise Voices is here doing a live, and we have done some tests, and we're here because we refuse to not have victory today. So, welcome, future risers. Welcome, all listeners. We're happy to have you here today. We've tried to do this before. Time and circumstances did not permit, but we just resilient with this personal development. And so we said, we're going to try, and try again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the again, right, Miss Sounds? This is
Yeah.
the again.
Yes, we did try. Now this is again.
So we wanted to bring a topic near and dear to Miss Sound's heart, is what I'm going to say, because I'm going to be learning a lot from my conversation with her today, as well as I am going to try my very best to wrap my arms around the topic that Miss Sounds is going to lead us in today. So that is another reason why we had to keep trying, because we might say something today that changes your life. For how we had to fight to get
Mm.
here,
Yeah.
I'm just going to believe that somebody is going to need to have this conversation or hear this conversation. And so, Miss Sounds, for the people, what are we thinking about? What's churning within our spirits that we felt we needed to talk about?
Yeah. I want to preface the conversation by saying we didn't fight each other. Okay.
Oh,
We
oh, oh. Make
exactly.
it clear.
We didn't fight one another again. Okay. We fought external forces. Okay. And we fought on the same side. I just want to say that. Okay.
Thank you for that. I mean, that
Yeah,
was
no.
needed, because you're right. We don't want people walking away thinking like there is some internal thing happening with raised voices other than our personal developments that we're being intentional about. That is,
Sure.
we fought together alongside, along.
Exactly.
I just.
Exactly. But when it comes to the topic today, this was just something that was bubbling up in me from yesterday in my own kind of personal development conversations,
Yeah.
which was this idea of I'm heavily into cultural rediscovery at this point in my life and really kind of going back to revisit, experiment, question some of the things that was imparted into me culturally and really seeing how some of this fits into my now life, whether some of this needs to transform into something else. But ultimately it's just for me to see more of my authenticity in a lot of this stuff, rather than to just be sort of like what I felt like was just kind of a receptacle for generational kind of traditions and practices. And so now it's kind of like I want to be an active participant in my culture. So
Yeah,
my
I like that.
my
But culturally, just for the people, because just like we had to clarify what we did to get here, that it was
yeah,
a togetherness.
yes.
When you said culturally, just lead us into when you say it at this moment, at this point of this conversation, culturally means what? From what perspective are we coming from?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a range of cultures that we can be talking about, but the one that I'm talking about is my heritage,
Mm,
my ethnic culture. So my background is Ghanaian American.
yeah,
My family is from Ghana, and I was born in America,
mhm,
but heavily raised in a lot of the traditions and practices that come with being an African woman. So this
yeah,
is me kind of redefining what that means for me in my current life, as I am also, raising married to a Haitian man, and so in
mm,
through marriage, I'm also uh, involved and heavily in um, participant, a heavy participant in what it means to be in this Haitian um, cultural heritage, but
yeah,
also we have a child that is both of these, all of these things.
yeah,
So it's a melting pot of things for me. It's what I grew up in. It is what I'm married into, and then what I'm parenting through as well. So that's what I mean
yeah.
by
Well, that's
culture.
heavy because that's deep roots. What you just said, mentioning two different cultures uh, that will have divergent within them, right? They will
Yeah.
have some similarity. Let's not fail to say that.
Oh
But
yeah, for
there's some
sure.
divergent lines, not just food, but words, meanings of words,
Yeah.
characters that might be acceptable, not accepted. So there's a lot of deep veins in both of those cultures that are extremely traditional, right? There are
Yes.
expectations on
Yeah.
either side that it's a do or die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We're
Very,
not talking
very
about guns here,
prideful.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about guns. Okay,
Yeah.
we're talking about maybe some, excommunication,
Right.
um, disinheritance. And that's just, that could kill a person. I'm just saying
Yeah.
because for some people, even if they're not accepted by the outer world, they want to be accepted within their culture,
Yeah.
and that's a world enough for them. And if I'm
Yes.
wrong, it sounds like redirect me. You know what I mean? So
No,
that's why I
yeah.
said it could be a bit of a death struggle thing in terms of doing the expectations well or not doing the expectations. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And for me, it's also kind of it's all is that, and it's also just wondering if I want to live to fulfill expectations, or do I want to live how I was intended to live, right? A free human being that happens to be a part of the beautiful parts of all these cultures, but also kind of the hard parts of these cultures as well.
Yeah.
And what does my stamp in culture look like? What does my voice in culture look like, right? So this is me navigating all of the terrain of that.
Yeah.
And where it led me to in one conversation was just kind of this idea of, am I am I mindfully engaging in culture, or am I just a passerby? Like, am I just passing things down? Are we as a culture just passing things down without mindfully engaging, interacting, touching it? And specifically where I zoned in on was in like one thing that really relates us all is the kitchen and cooking.
Oh, yes.
And I'm
Food.
into I'm in my kitchen doing a little experimenting with how I can fuse things together and not live kind of compartmentalized with all these cultures. There's a reason they're all a part of my life. And so I want to see how they all beautifully dance together.
Mm.
But in my experimentation, I've had to ask myself some hard questions. Why do I um why do I use some of these ingredients? What do they mean to me? How do they interact with my body? Am I really taking in the sight, the smell? Like, is this something I want in what I'm cooking? Can I replace this? Like all of these kinds of questions are coming up for me. And it really led me to think about the ways in which I saw cooking growing up, where a lot of it was my grandma used to do this.
Yeah.
And so therefore everybody gonna do it this way.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
we'll specifically say women, because that's been my context for like cooking. I haven't really had much context in like what men go through in that, but women specifically, it was like grandmama, great grandmama, all the people before they
Yes.
did this. Here's the blueprint to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And I there's a bunch of different layers in that I've noticed, which is, I think, one that no one really asked. You couldn't really ask questions as to why we doing this. It
Skinned
was
alive.
kind
No, that was out.
of
You
taboo
guys
to
know
ask.
all the Caribbean West Indian people out there, you tread very lightly, okay? And you use your proper English
Right.
if you dare.
Right.
How much of the cinnamon is
Yeah.
expected?
Because questioning that, you was questioning grandmama, great grandmama, and that was a no-no, right?
Right.
And
And
so
having
let's
escape
start.
rules. I'm just no. Don't duck under the table. Y'all know that don't work. There could be a spatula that comes on. No, you have to be able to, exit somewhere out just in case that question was not asked at a good time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you guys know what we're
Yeah.
talking about. No, she's right. That causes some trauma. The reason why we're talking about this, as light and ineffective you may think, this particular example about cuisine and cooking and how to prepare it the way that traditionally it's been acceptable or celebrated, is
Mm-hmm.
because we're saying that we have been connected to and have identified folks that was a traumatic experience for them, especially when they've entered into the role of wife, provider, caretaker, and or mom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
guys, if you guys are out there and you feel like, your thing is cooking, baking, whatever, you're a man in the kitchen. Because when a man can cook in the kitchen, y'all don't even act like y'all don't want to celebrate that. He's good. Okay. Women are gonna be in the kitchen most of the time. You
Yeah.
find that one hombre, you want him to cook all the time. So,
Yeah.
man, if you're out there and it's been traumatic for you, where you feel like
Yeah.
a negative connotation was assigned to you just because you wanted to be in the kitchen, now they had all manner of evil to say. Talk to us, because there are traumatic experiences that have come out of that, because what happens is that there's not a nurturing that happens in the responses you receive in some of those traditions. That's what we're
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
we're talking about cooking, but it really, the underlier is the nurturing or lack of nurturing impact
Yeah.
happens that causes the trauma. And Miss Sound's going to tell me if I'm going down the wrong street.
No, no, no. Yeah, you're absolutely, that's along the lines of the some of my experience is, well, I think one, we could start on this one, which is you're just not allowed to, why aren't you allowed to ask questions? Why aren't you allowed to ask how much of that can I put in this? Or why is it just that I have to watch? Is there other ways to engage me as an individual, trying to learn how to cook other than just simply watching? And culturally, it's just been a thing. Just watch me. Don't say nothing. Just watch and then do. And I think that watch and do can leave a lot of space for there can be traumatic things that happen in there, because I think um a lot of your self-worth and ability gets really tested in that
Mm-hmm.
in that space. Um you wonder if the standard is due like the person that told me to watch them, I'm gonna fail because I didn't learn the way I needed to learn this. And so I feel inadequate. I
Mhm.
feel inadequate. And the nurturing part of saying the nurturing part of the person teaching may not be available to really say, I've noticed that you aren't someone that picks up through this. Let me try a different way because that wasn't given to them. So they may not be able to give to you. Um, and so for me, I think that I wanted to kind of go there, have a conversation there about questions and
Yeah.
how culturally they're
Yeah.
kind of taboo to really ask.
Yeah. I do like that because just an inner reflection, I didn't know this was going to come up for me. I guess that's why you do organic and live, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say in my West Indian Antiguan culture, it was the fact that I don't believe those who I was around or exposed to, they didn't teach me how to cook because we're just dealing with just something that people could relate to. We're talking about cooking.
Yeah.
I don't think they knew. I don't think it was handed to them. So I agree with you. Questions were taboo and they just kind of went off the cuff. When you ask, I mean, it was
Like I
like
just asked for
it was a
quarter teaspoon
brawl.
or half a tea.
Yeah, they were mad.
Yeah.
But as I think back, just happened to me just now as you were speaking, I would say years later now that I reflect back on that, I would say that I don't think they were given that either.
Yeah.
Because when I look at who raised me, and it wasn't my parents, for various reasons, that person was not motherly, nurturing. There was not affection from
Mm,
her. And as I've learned the history in my family, a lot of them were not affectionate. So she grew up in that. So she would, I don't know that it's not to say you can't learn better, even if you weren't given the best, but
sure.
you have to know that you want to do that thing to go against the tide.
Correct.
And who raised her didn't go against the tide. They continued a tradition and affection and nurturing and that wasn't it. It was rules. That was
Yeah.
it was rules, and more rules. And if you didn't follow the rules, in my culture, they say you were dunce,
Mm,
which is the
yeah.
same as calling you a dummy or an idiot.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Shame. Shame.
Shame.
Shame. Yeah.
And they had a hat in school that they would put on
Mm,
your head because they were gonna make sure the whole school knew, things
yeah.
like that. So I would say part of it, as I got older, I look back and I would say
Yeah.
now part of me understands they couldn't give
Mm-hmm.
what they didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were so hurt they didn't know to go get it, to then give it to themselves and then give it to me.
Yeah. Ooh. And you know what also what came up for me when you just said that is this I feel like culture is way more beautiful than the
Yeah.
fast paced way we're trying to kind of push it through to the generations, right? It deserves the time to really slow down. It really does deserve the time to slow down. And a lot of the times, excuse me, a lot of the times I find that because of this urgency to get the culture passed down, get it passed down to your daughter and to your other generations, there is no time for this real slow kind of churning and teaching and asking, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get? There's no time for that because it feels like there's this urgency to like the culture's gonna die. Please, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
gotta shame you because then it'll stick. I don't got time to
Yes.
slow down and teach you. I gotta shame you so it
Yes.
sticks, and then you pass that down. But
Yes.
are we passing down health and wellness, or are we passing
Right.
either?
Yeah. You know what? Boy, that's a big one. I would say that even though I know better, I've failed in those aspects.
Okay.
As a mom, And until you just said what you said, I would say I know part of my failure happened to do with how I was brought up with only rules and not love or affection. So you're right. That's
Sure.
sort of choking down
Sure.
whatever food. And then it took me a long time to understand I don't got to eat that food no more. But I was
Mm.
eating that food though for a long time because
Yeah.
that's even though I didn't enjoy it when they were choking me down with them rules and I got to do it
Yeah.
this way,
Yeah.
still I was still a prisoner to those rules that even when I got my adult freedom, as we want to say, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
I was still eating those food. I was still choking down those rules. And through my lens of people that I wanted to connect to, I needed them to follow those
Mm.
rules too for me to be
Mm.
safe. It took
Yes.
me a long time to challenge to say, wait, why are you still eating green banana? You like plantains.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
something like that. And we making it simple here, guys. But if you guys are listening, you understand underneath are some real issues. We're just using food because you know what I'm saying? Everybody gonna eat and
Yeah.
live the sun. But
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing where I just remember even, man, you bringing up stuff for me, Miss Sales. Even when I would go to the store and there was something else I wanted to try,
Mm.
purchase that because I was like, I don't even know. That looked familiar, but it's not what we purchase and what we cook. So I'm not gonna get that. There was nobody,
Nobody was like
but I was policing my own. Well, let me go back to my childhood. I don't remember that till now. Let me see. Am I
it's,
here? Yeah, I'm good. All right. It didn't trigger, but it happened.
it's true. It,
Yeah.
it's it is so true. One of the and the thing is, I really commend you for saying that and bringing light to how it shows up. Whether you're trying to do your best in your generation or
Yes.
not, you done got some strays from the other stuff, right? That
Yes.
really do still stick into you. And for me, what I've noticed is before it I noticed what how I've kind of projected that to people in my family. Me, how I talk to myself really kind of
Mm.
highlighted what was done, like what I received. And then how I'm just like in my journey of cooking, there were moments where I just was not patient with myself of learning to get it right. You know what I mean? And what is right? You know what I mean? Just really kind of dismantling some of these really rigid ways of being, which is that there's a right or wrong way to cook this thing. You
Yeah.
know, there's a certain flavor that's right, there's a certain flavor that's wrong. There's
Yes.
certain ingredients they don't belong. um and the way I shame myself, you
Yeah.
know, forget the people that was going to say something to me. They weren't here no more. It was me, adult in my kitchen, shaming me.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
said, being a
Yeah.
prisoner to my own shame. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's big. You know, one of the things I want us to preference here that's just coming out, it's just welling up for me is this right or wrong sometimes does not lead to our health, right? We always try to see things through the right and wrong. Now here we're talking about just culinary and food, but more so we're talking about traditional regimens that were put on us, taught to us. We came through the training up of those regimens
Yeah.
and became beholden by them.
Yeah.
Okay, there was an altar serving at the altar of negativity because I will not be excommunicated from being a Caribbean. Meanwhile, my people was like, you've lost the accent. We've already
We
excommunicated.
already excommunicated.
And what you try to do is you do try to hold on to some semblance because, as Miss Sound says, she believes there's more beauty in these cultural things when we are free to participate in the culture for ourselves.
Yeah.
What you get is our real loyalty now. And I agree with that. And so, what was coming up for me as you were speaking is that I had to sit my own self down in latter years and say, you can't blame them anymore for what you continue to perpetrate on your own self. You owe yourself to investigate that which bothers you and choose the things that must stay because
Mm.
you are of this culture. So you got to be the best of yourself in the culture. Okay.
Mm.
That was hard. That took 15 years, just so that y'all know.
Right.
Let's not be out here acting like that was 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, or 2 weeks later. No, I had to have that conversation over and over because I fell off. I fell off a couple of times, went back to like, I'm just going to go back to doing it this way. And it wasn't working, right? And so I had that much more work to do because I had the
Yeah.
work from the trauma and then I had the work of the trauma I put on me.
That I'm still living in. Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to investigate. And so while we're connecting it to culinary and cooking and in the kitchen and that stuff, what we are really
Yeah.
saying, it connects to our hunger for personal development and
Yeah.
rediscovery by looking at that base thing that triggers me to figure out, one, why is it triggering me? Two,
Yeah.
how is it triggering me? Three, how do I change it that it serves me instead of triggers me?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I also noticed is there were times in asking, questions. I mean, so there's a part of me, there's the cultural part that, our family is from a place, like a deep rooted place, right? And then there's you were born in America, so you asking about teaspoons and cups and stuff like
Yes.
that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They weren't asking about that back then, right?
Yes.
So that part of me it's curious and investigative and asking, hey, how much of that do you put in this, asking people in the culture, in the various cultures that I'm a part of? And I often got the responses, I don't know, just a little bit of this, just a little bit of that. I just wait for the ancestors to tell me when to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny. It is funny to hear that because there are some things that you just jump in and do, and when you're intuitive in your cooking, sometimes you're just not really labeling, you're just kind of doing. So I understand that part. But the part that I always was curious about was whether or not they were saying that some were saying that because they really didn't know how to pass it down other than you have to look. Like if there was just one way that they only knew, and there may have been this apprehension to say, I don't know any other way, this is the only way I know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that curiosity led me to go, well, then what is fueling their technique? Is it a full interaction with the ingredients, the intake of it, and their stamp on the culture? Or is there some muscle memory slash voice in the subconscious
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly, some shameful voice
Mm-hmm.
telling them, this is where you like, put this much in, or else is you and me after.
Off with their heads. No, no.
Right. Like, is that what's guiding the muscle memory? Is it the voices of shame in that
Yeah.
existing culture? Or, yeah, I just wondered if
Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
was the area.
I think it could be. I'm going to err on the side of caution, caution in the form of now forgiveness, not before when I was growing up, because I had all those
Mm-hmm.
questions you were asking for sure. But I
Yeah.
think sometimes when I look back, at least my culture,
Yeah.
most of the people were only steeped in the caring of the family, most of the women.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't necessarily work outside the home. And so I wonder, like you're saying, it was a training that they themselves went through because that is mostly what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so they may not have had the capacity and or knowledge. Just as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking
Yeah.
to have articulated that, and they were not taught about that, about saying and teaching from that. Because if that is what you mostly do, and that's what
Yeah.
you have, you're
Yeah.
right. There should be some consideration that as you interact with your children, mostly your female children, if they show an interest in cooking, or if you have
Yeah.
tagged them to be someone you would want to help with that.
Yeah.
I think there was a lesson missed that could have been a bonding situation.
Okay. That's you
Is
said
that
something.
a thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
thinking back as far as I could.
Mm.
I don't know if they equated it to that as much as, yo, I take care of the house. I'm finna get this done. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm master of this. So
Yeah.
you don't dare ask me too many things. Just
Yeah. This is a
carry
part
out
of
the
what
order.
makes
Yeah.
me, yeah, this is what makes me a woman, right? This is my territory, my lane. This
Yeah.
is what my tradition, my culture told me makes me totally me. And so don't ask me about me. Okay. That's
Right. And also, even if the culture tradition didn't tell me, I figured out this is how I'm a woman. I run this house.
mm,
I run the house and children. I do the cooking. When the gathering happens, I'm facilitate that. So imagine back then, at least in
mm,
my culture, where a lot of them, like I said, did not work outside of the home. I mean, they were captain of that part of the home. They didn't handle the
mm,
finances or anything. So they missed that this could be a bonding opportunity. This was more
mm,
like, I can get an employee out of this to help me with the stuff in the house. And
I can get an employee out of this.
yeah, they're gonna come for me now.
I mean, this in the most respectful way. No, that's actually,
They're gonna come
I
for
need
me.
extra hands. I'm training
Right.
extra hands to help me with my hands.
Yes.
That
Because I'm tired. I mean, in my culture, they were cutting down the sugar canes. Like, I ain't making this up. Where I grew up, they were out there cutting down the sugar canes. They had many farms and taking care of the home. They
Mm,
grow their own foods. I still grow my own foods. And I hated my hands in the soil because I
yeah.
didn't want to mess up my nails. Go mess these nails up. I would, and I got natural nails. Y'all don't play.
Yeah.
They're all mine. I will pluck these things off and grow me some peppers. Cubanelle. I will. But younger,
Wow.
don't why we always gotta grow stuff? I used to complain about that. Today they'd be like,
Yeah.
how did she become a vegetarian? Because she
Yeah.
was not about that life. But it was in my
Wow.
DNA. And I didn't respect it until I got to make my own choices. That's what happened.
Ooh, that that what came up for me is what I've in my conversations with my own trajectory and other people similar, the common selling point or conversation and or threat
Yeah.
of really learning how to cook for a woman in the culture was you gonna have a family one day and your
Yes.
husband gonna leave you.
Let me tell you.
If you don't know how your husband gonna leave you, right? Like that was the
Yes. And so that y'all know, men don't just leave because you can't cook. I want y'all to stop that. I'm not
that
saying not
out.
to try to cook if that's your thing, because I'll be
But not because. Yeah,
right, right.
please. Yeah.
That's not the only reason.
No.
Prayer meeting at 7 o'clock. No, no, no.
Right? Like there was no sort of, enjoyment aspect or bonding aspect infused into that. It was do or die, survive or you're going to die. And this is why you need to learn how to do that. And I think part of this rediscovery is, I think the culture is way more beautiful than that, than
Yes.
survival. You
Yes.
know what I
And
mean?
you
And
have
I,
to be the one, you have to be the one to say that and investigate that even before you believe it.
mm,
Because today I'm proud of being a West Indian woman. Growing up, I wasn't, because I only knew the side of produce, have a result, be brilliant and educated, and then be quiet. Why am I getting all these A's? Why am I passing my CXC high levels? And then,
oh,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So man, I wasn't too proud to be a West Indian woman.
yeah,
What? Because I
yeah.
was waiting for the positive side of that. Now it
Mm,
showed up in my 20s where I realized there's just some things I could fight through and make it through that was going to take another person down. And I could do it without saying a word.
mm, yeah.
So in the silence that was put on me, I found the strength in it. So then I could determine when to speak and when not to speak. But that is often not what happens to most that's silenced. They stay
Mm,
silent without figuring out how to balance it. And then you
yeah.
find they won't speak even when they can or should.
Even, mm,
And I'm not saying I didn't have many moments of that. So just hear me. I did work. None of
yeah,
this thing happened overnight. I didn't get on this other side just to get on this. No, 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 no. There were
yeah,
times I should have spoke up for myself, and I didn't, because
yeah,
I didn't think it was going to change anything. So I was like, eh.
yeah.
So, so just make sure you guys who are listening in, will listen in, understand we are not saying anything that we're talking about today is easy to overcome, easy to
No,
balance, easy to deal with, or easy
no,
to be a survivor of. But we're
no.
saying that many have survived some of these traumatic things that come out of tradition and culture. Many have survived, and so can you.
Hmm.
You have to find the beauty, is what we're saying. It's not just going to show up. No, ma'am. No, sir.
No.
It ain't going to just, I'm free from those who hold me down and my beauty has shown up. No, no, no,
Oh,
no, no, no. We got to dig,
yeah.
investigate, question, do some work for that beauty to show up. Because when I realized, like Miss Sound says, that I believe the culture is much more beautiful than it is presented,
Mm,
there was a freeing and there was a forgiveness that I could have for those that did not take time to bond.
sure, sure. Absolutely. I could acknowledge, there was an acknowledgement that I could now interact with and say, oh, maybe they didn't have that. And maybe it was never going to be afforded to me through this way. And maybe there are other options in life that will afford that to me. Let me go and explore. Let me get my backpack and you know what I'm saying? Let
Yes.
me go explore
Yes.
this for
As well
myself.
as if I see someone now, hurt people know hurt people.
Sure.
You can see it. You don't want to see it sometimes because you don't want to go back there in emotions or feelings or psychological or any of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes you can't help but recognize I can see her hurt and I think I know where it comes from. It's something familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't do the investigation, you can't help anyone else. I know as hurt people, we like to go help a hurt person. And I'm not saying that you wait for full healing, transformation,
Sure.
change, development to go
Perfection. Yeah.
to go help someone else. Not what I'm saying. But if you are a swimmer that can barely keep you afloat and you jump in, to the water to
Baby,
say
y'all all
we
going down.
are the person that can't swim at all.
Yeah. Baby, we all going down.
I'm just trying to say, maybe you got to stay in the boat, use the rope, throw a lifeline. We got to come up with some plans that we're both going to survive. That's all I'm saying. So I'm saying that you must discover the beauty in your culture sometimes to be able to see a hurt person and know I can help him or her because I'm further along now. I'm strong enough now for me to still hold me up and then pick you up at the same time, and we not going to fall. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I like to have these moments of caution because as I speak to myself.
Yeah.
I gotta remind me sometimes. Wait a minute, why are you rushing in like rescue mission number 1?
Yeah.
You forgot the first one. You know what I'm saying? Well, for the first one, you rushing.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful. So while we are talking about this cultural reference and the questions that in many cultures seem to be an invasion of privacy, while we are talking about that, we're saying that we know that there are other sides of each culture that's just beautiful, people.
Oh, yes.
They're just beautiful. And we're saying that if you ask questions now and you're still getting that pushback, that violent response, that dismissive, still look for the beauty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Miss Sounds, am I right? Or where am
Absolutely.
I mean, because this is a topic man did to. I don't want to mess up out here.
No, you do. We jumping right in together. It's so good. Yes. I think that one of the most life-changing things you shared with me in general was that there are options. That's it. Like that change unlocked so much in my life to know there are options, meaning in this context, if there is pushback or resistance in one area, just know that's not the only lane to get the beauty. That's not the only way you're going to get it.
No.
And you have to be okay with walking the lonely road of finding the beauty elsewhere.
Yes. And let me tell you guys, being quiet and waiting is an option. But here's how you enhance that. Keep dreaming. Because I want you, like, whatever the situation or the scenario, while you waiting, right? And man, don't look like this thing gonna shift on me for me to get out. If you're not planning in that head of yours, if you ain't preparing in that heart of yours, that chance will come and you will miss it. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Let me give you an example that's outside of cooking.
Okay.
I remember the first time I said, listen, I want to buy my own car cash. I was making barely anything, but I had a dream. That dream took 4 years, but I don't care. Right?
That's my business.
Right. That car is gone. Whatever. Right. It was a Dodge Daytona. Okay. For me, that was my sports car. It was a 2-door. You had to pull up the back seat for you to jump in. I didn't want nobody coming in but on the passenger side because I'm the driver. I don't want to pull my seat forward for you to get in. I'm giving you a ride.
But
my Dodge Daytona.
Yeah.
Put my money together. It was all black too, because I was in a Night Rider. Okay, my car did not speak back to me other than being in the shop every 2 weeks. But every 2 weeks, okay, Miss Daytona cost me $500, $600 on Fordham Road down in the Bronx.
Mechanic didn't cost you that much? Woo.
Every 2 weeks.
Lord Jesus.
So I paid for that dream. And as much as that thing was a money guzzler, because I had to fix every little thing, here's what I celebrated and still celebrate today. It took me 4 years to be able to get it to buy cash, but it was mine. And it taught me that even though that was a temporary thing that I had, it caused this thing in me to say, what if I can buy a better car? And I started to learn about every vehicle I've ever owned. My mechanic I've had him for 16 years. That's how serious I am about it. 16 years. So he knows every vehicle I've ever owned, and I know it because that Dodge Daytona cost me. So it was a dream to get this black sports car. You can't tell me nothing. Got it. It was just taking all my little money, all my little check was going constantly.
Yeah.
But because I was able to accomplish that, then I started dreaming a little bigger. I said, well, I did that. I know it took me 4 years. The next car, I got to get that in 2. Let me see if I could do it. That's what we're talking about. We're not saying these things are going to happen overnight, but we're saying that if you can accomplish half of a step, half of a dream, it kind of infuses you a bit to say, if I go all the way, it does that to you.
Yeah.
So that's my example, because I never forgot that car. Now that's been 28 years ago.
Yeah.
But that car started something in me where I was like, and ever since that, I have not purchased another vehicle that was taking me to the, mechanic every 2 weeks. Because,
right.
I had to learn more than one lesson. But the point was, because it took me so long to get it, and I did enjoy it when it was running. You couldn't tell me that when I get in and out of that when it was no longer beneficial, my dream didn't die. I said, let me just go up a little bit more in life.
Yeah.
So,
that's beautiful.
that's what we're saying. So that's part of the search, is that even if what you get in your culture, in your family, in your DNA, the way you're made up, even if it's not all that you could dream, keep dreaming. Because the options are that if I could see it, I might be able to get that thing. Let me try. I might be able to get that thing. And I'm not talking about, I'm going to say this. Don't take what somebody else has. I'm talking about you getting your own thing. You finding your own beauty. You having your own dreams. You getting your own business. Don't take clients away from somebody else that's giving you a step up. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about take the time that you have to do the little bit you can until it adds up. And then you have a full house for you.
Yes.
I just needed to say that. Like, just don't twist this whole thing I'm talking about. You're talking about your own. Whoever you are, put your name on it. Your own 401k, your own business that you're going to start, your own house, your own car, your own kids. I said, your own husband and wife, your own. Options is about dreaming and never letting that hope, no matter what it looks like, run out long enough for you to stop. Don't stop. That's it. On my soapbox, and this is a lot.
R.I.P. to Day Day, though. R.I.P. to Day Day. Okay.
Yeah.
She did what she had to do. Okay.
Please, so that's what we're talking about. So where do we wrap this up on? Because we'll have to come back and dig a little deeper. But Miss Sounds, where do we curve and wrap this thing in a bow?
I think that one of the things that just like resonated to kind of wrap up everything is that not only is the culture so much more beautiful than to cheapen it through some of the presentations we've received, but you are too beautiful to cheapen yourself and to really just try to be a carbon copy or try to find resolve in places that are dead. You are too beautiful. Your life is too precious, and it is worth the exploration. Explore the depths and the heights of you. And sometimes you have to resolve within yourself that loneliness might be a part of this journey for a bit. Right? but
Yeah.
you're never alone because you are with you. You're always with you. You know, all of who you are is with you as you're journeying. So it might feel alone because of what is familiar to you might feel like it's not around, but all you've ever had was you coming into this world. And so you're never by yourself, you know, wherever you go.
I love that. Can I drop an amen? Okay, I'll do
Hallelujah.
that. Well, that was good. I ain't gonna mess that up.
Yeah.
Well, we
All
hope
I
you
got. Yep.
enjoyed our first official long live. That's what we're gonna call it. You guys
Ew.
have done some mini ones, and I'm gonna get back to that. But we are in summer. We're enjoying family and time and dreaming and
Yeah.
creating and all
Yeah.
of that. But we hope to be able to bring you more lives, and but we want your engagement, your interaction, for us to keep coming here live and also bringing, we have more guests that are trying to get on with us, and we're grateful for them. Thank you, God, for that. They're
Yeah.
coming, and we're talking about people who are doing amazing work. Sister
Yeah.
Circle is coming up, y'all. Hopefully, middle of September towards the end, but definitely September. And so we're hopeful we may do a few of those lives. We're working on what that's going to look like. But we need interaction, we need engagement, we need viewership, and we just need you guys to reach out.
Mm.
So we hope you enjoyed we always enjoy our conversation.
Oh yeah.
Because
We
even
always
if
go.
you
That's one
guys
thing
weren't
about us.
watching, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you guys were not watching, this conversation was going to happen. Miss Sound just
Yeah.
thought we should do it, and share it with the people. And I wanted to do a live. So, her idea and my idea, boom.
Yeah. Make magic. Yeah.
Right.
That's what we
What we
did.
do. But we enjoy you guys. Much peace, blessing, love. If you see this, and if you're on a weekend, please enjoy it. Be safe where you are. There are many storms all over the place. I want you all to
Mhm.
be safe, stay together, love on each other. Um, People need people. So that's all I have to say with that.
That's right.
And we appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day. If you're on the weekend. But most of all, have a great life. Appreciate y'all. Raise voices. We are out of the building.
Bye.
Bye bye.